Well, today I've invited Tom Cassada. He's a Cleveland city councilman, and I think he owns about 2 businesses in town. And I'm gonna unpack it in just a few minutes when he gets here. I've always wanted to ask you, were you related to Tim Cassada?
Yeah, that's my brother, and I've got a younger sister, Teresa, too.
I don't know Teresa.
Yeah.
I remember Tim. I think I had geometry with him.
Oh, Lord. Who'd you have geometry to at Bradley? You remember?
Who's the teacher?
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember. But he was in that class.
Yeah.
And he was red. Was he a little redheaded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Urban, I mean, it was just red as you can be.
He was a thin.
Yep.
And he was a good ball player, if I remember.
He was. Football and baseball.
Yep. He was a real, I remember him as being really, really polite and cordial or something.
Mm-hmm. He everything came natural to him. I mean, it was just, he could pick it up and just start playing.
He was a fluid guy, wasn't he?
He was. He'd throw right-handed and he batted left-handed. In golf, he swung right-handed, but he putted left-handed.
When was he? Did he play at Fulbright also?
He did play at Fulbright, and I played at Fulbright also. Yeah.
Were you older or younger?
Older, 18 months older. We did everything together as growing up. 18 months, we played ball together. We played football, any kind of ball. Rode our bikes, hung out.
Y'all didn't look alike at all.
We didn't. But,
he always wore his hat like this.
Yeah.
Did I remember him or did I not?
He's actually a military person.
He was
too.
a military type guy.
Yeah, he was in the Navy. He sure was.
He always reminded me of that guy. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he always wore his hat like that.
Yeah. That's Timmy.
Funny how I remember
so
that.
It's almost 38 years ago.
38 years.
He took his own life. Yeah, 38 years ago. My oldest daughter was 6 months pregnant with my wife when that happened. So I remember to this day.
I remember when it happened, and I never knew the story, of course, and but it was something that probably just another 30 minutes later he wouldn't have never done that. I'm sure.
Yeah. He like I said, I miss him to this day. My sister and we're close, but my father and mother too. But it was hard. It was hard on the parents. It was hard on the parents.
How old was he when that happened?
He was 23 or 24
that was
years
so
old.
bad.
So 38 years.
So bad.
And he's missed out because Tina and him had Chris, who's got 3 boys now, Tegan and Riley, and you know, so they're playing ball too. He would light up right now. Tegan played baseball at Bradley, and
Tim might have gone on to be into more sports, maybe.
He could have. He went in the military, went that way. Then he got out of the military, went to Bow Waters, and worked at Bow Waters, and from there that situation happened. So.
I never realized y'all were brothers. I knew him and knew you, but I just remember the name, and I just would never have put that together.
Yeah, he always used to call me bro. And every time, I always think about somebody yelling bro behind me and turn around and he's standing there, but that's not going to happen.
If I remember, he drank Dr. Pepper a lot.
Yeah, he did. He worked for Coca-Cola for a while. He was a driver for Coca-Cola. So I called him one time. We were in Virginia, and I asked him, my uncle had always drank Pepsi. So I said, he had his Coke uniform on. I said, bro, give me a drink out there, Coke out there. He saw he got Pepsi. He turned around, he's got Pepsi with his Coke, holding it up. So they're pretty strict about that. You don't go anywhere with Coke.
Well, when I
Pepsi
had geometry, we were taking 12th grade geometry in the 10th grade.
Yeah.
So he must have been pretty smart too.
He was very talented. Every kind of way you can make. Like I said, 18 months, my mom and dad treated us like twins.
Are y'all Italian?
Italian and Irish.
That's what I am,
So,
Italian.
Italian Irish.
Patroni.
Yeah. Cassada means married in Spanish. So
I'm not sure what patron means. I guess
that
it's
means oil. Patron.
What, oil? Yeah.
You got the money.
Was it Patron, sure enough?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
I
kidding.
think that was the vodka. What, the Patron?
Well, it is a Patron. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a
But I
tequila.
think tequila, yeah. I can't stand that stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
What did you do? What were you doing about that time, that era?
At that time, right, I was actually at the country club working as assistant pro under Joe Markham. So, and then after that, I ventured to go back and worked for Westvaco, where we moved down here in '76 over on Old Tasso, where Triumph Sheets is now, right beside Georgia Pacific. Dad was transferred down with Harris Coffee and a bunch of us that came down in '76 and ran that plant until it closed down. And Triumph took it over. So then I went to Triumph after that.
Where did y'all move from?
Richmond, Virginia, Chesterfield County.
And he came here with the plant?
Yes, yeah. He came here with the plant in '76. Sure did.
Do you remember much about Richmond?
A little bit. Chesterfield County is actually southwest of Richmond. So Chesterfield County is, I would have gone to Thomas Dale High School if I'd have been there, or Byrd High School.
Do you remember when you left, thought, oh, I'm leaving my friends, or were you?
Yeah, we were very active in baseball and football at Salem Church, elementary school and junior high. And we had to leave them. We used to go camping all the time at the KO campground. It had a pull-behind trailer, a little pop-up trailer, and Dad had a Monte Carlo, and he actually had a John boat strapped down to the top. And we head out with 3 other families. And on the weekend, it's about a 2-hour drive. Had a lake, all kinds of game room, swimming pool, and everything else. It was a lot of fun.
That was the real campgrounds.
That was the real campground.
Back then, they had the real campgrounds.
Real campgrounds. Yep.
I've been looking at campers online just recently for some reason, and I could really get into that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to pull anything though.
Well, it was one of those ones that pop. You pop up and it kind of goes out the bed.
So it goes this high.
Yeah. You.
But no bathroom.
Well, it did have a little bathroom in it, but you didn't want to use it.
Yeah.
You went down to the bathhouse to do that. So, but we get up early in the morning. I remember getting early in the morning. You walk around, and that trailer start going. You shut the door.
Because people were sleeping on both sides.
Exactly. You wake them up. You sure.
You know those campers now those hard shell ones that had the wings on them.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at what they cost?
No.
Those old authentic ones.
No.
They're like collector's items.
Yeah.
There's a guy on North Lee Highway,
Georgetown, out in Georgetown, that refurbishes them out around Bentwood.
Well, there's a guy out on Chatham Valley Road towards Charleston. He's got about 5 in his yard.
Does he? Okay.
But you have to get the ones that had the wing.
Yeah. You talking about the Airstream? The ones that's silver? It's all silver?
No, these are blue, like sky blue. They got the stripe, and it's got. If they've got the wing on it, you've got something.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of fun. We used to sit around at night and campfires with other family kids. We played ball and coach with. It was Pastor Fields and the Masons. And
do you ever see them anymore, or is it just a distance?
I do when I go back into Richmond. I don't get to get back as much. My dad moved back to Richmond. He's been up there for a number of years now. All his family's up there and his mother, but everybody's deceased now. So I'm trying to get him moved back down here to Cleveland. Him and Carolyn both. So.
But you feel like you've been here long enough to where you're just this is home.
Homegrown. Yeah, my wife's homegrown. My wife is Denise. You know Denise. Denise Ledford. She's she's actually her mom's a Lawson. Her dad's a Ledford. Jack Ledford, Sam Ledford, Catfish. That's the 3 brothers. And then Denise's mom is Hazel, who's her brothers is Robert and so Steve's her first cousin. Steve Lawson's her first cousin. Robert and all the AJ, Lamar, all of them was her.
I knew AJ really well.
Yeah, AJ. Yeah, he was a good one.
And
He
Kathy.
was. And Kathy too. Yeah.
Boy, it's a small community. You can't talk about anybody.
No, I
can you?
can't.
I mean, nobody. They live out on Morgan Road and
Yeah.
out in that area.
Yeah. Great
they-
family. Yeah.
Let's
strong
see, who
family.
else was it married into that family? Was it David Goodwill?
I'm not sure.
I think he might have married AJ's daughter.
Daughter? Okay.
And she
Yeah,
passed
two-
away.
Yeah, she had 2 daughters, I believe, wasn't it?
I believe so.
AJ did. Yeah, we used to get together.
They used to have the flooring, the carpet.
Yeah, the carpet are up there. Yeah. on
That
the
was sort of
corner.
unusual for AJ because he was more of a law enforcement type guy.
Yeah, but he drove too, didn't he? He drove tractors and trailers like a day cab. I think.
I think he
that for a
did.
while.
I think he did.
Yeah.
But he would stay there and help her. That was
Yeah.
his big thing.
Yeah.
To help her.
Kathy was a good too. She was very kind. Very kind. Both of them were on that.
Yeah, I think I remember when AJ got the cancer. Didn't he get cancer? Died of cancer.
He did. He did.
You know, I get pieces of memories that once I talk about them, I can put them together like a book. But if I'm not thinking about them specifically,
Yeah.
it's oblivious.
Yeah. That's. I mention my kids all the time. That's all I try to leave with my kids is memories at this point in the stage in life.
That's all we got.
Materialistic things you don't have, but things that you can sit around the table and they'll, after you're gone, memories is something you can't take away.
You
No matter
replay-
how good it is or how bad it is, Dee, that's something that people can hold on to, and no matter where they're at in life.
You know, the Chinese believe that the yu, which is the qi, they call
Yeah.
it the qi, is just a combination of experiences, which is memories.
Yeah.
That's all you are.
Yeah.
And you're different to me than you are somebody else because of our different experiences versus theirs.
Yeah. But, by the second, third generation, they don't remember who you are. Your great-great-grandchildren won't even remember how you are. So I try to write in a journal all the time so they can at least know something about their grandparents and great-grandparents that I know. Always, if you sit around and talk to kids, my dad has done that before, and my kids just glue right into them and just listen to them.
Well, used to they would write the diaries.
Yeah.
But didn't they like to write in a? Did men do that mostly or women?
I think both of them did, but I do myself. So I want to keep a log for my kids to be able to read when I'm
that's why they did it.
Yeah. Sure
People
is.
used to. I remember people used to, and you weren't allowed to look in anybody else's diary. Remember
No.
that?
No, unless it's your sisters.
Yeah.
You can find out who the boyfriend is.
Wouldn't you say that was 2 generations removed? How far is it back where you just really have no clue? Would it be? I guess my grandfather's father would be. I wouldn't know anything about him any more than I know about you.
Yeah, and that's a shame too. Is to log some stuff and keep that going. So kids always want to know their history, who they came from.
That's why the
what
Bible
they-
had so many begats and begats.
Yeah, exactly right. You're exactly right.
That was important, and the
Yeah.
Mormons do that too.
Yeah.
But I wonder if things changed so much that it wouldn't matter. I mean, take my grandfather's father. They were thinking about, harnesses and horses and cattle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that would be irrelevant. Wouldn't that be irrelevant to us today?
What does kids think about today? They think about cell phones, social media. We get tied up in it also.
Oh,
somewhat.
sure,
So
sure.
It has changed tremendously over the last 30 years, 20 years. I mean, I can remember when I used a fax machine to send a quote to somebody. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? When I was working in the industry, and then they come with a cell phone. So you mean I could just send it like this? So
I still can't get used to sending invoices through a cell phone.
yeah,
To me, what am I going to file?
yeah.
I can't, and I guess it was about you realize in 2000 we didn't even have phones? It was what, 2000? 4 or 5 when the brick came out, or
Yeah, the big bag phone. My
bag
dad got
phone,
it.
yeah.
It was like 10 cents
Yeah,
a minute.
yeah.
You got that big bag phone.
you had to
turn
talk quick.
Yeah. But I remember the first cell phone I had with the company, with Weyerhaeuser, was a BlackBerry. You remember the old BlackBerry?
Oh yeah, you had to have
Had
2
little-
hands,
Yeah, you sit down there, and my
Yeah.
thumbs are so big. I'm
and it
sitting
was
there
shaped
trying to
like a
ta-
BlackBerry.
Yeah, it had a little
Yeah.
screen, but it was always hard to.
I never had a BlackBerry.
Yeah,
That were short-lived.
yeah.
But I remember texting people that always, I don't text, and now they won't do nothing. And you know, it's acceptable now to send a text to somebody, condolences about a funeral or something.
Yeah.
And in 2004, they'd ostracized you for doing that.
Yeah. Well, Dee, I do it myself, but I'm still the type of person who wants to sit down in front of somebody and talk to them.
I am too.
I don't like talking on the phone. I really don't like texting, be honest with you. I'd rather sit down in front of somebody and have a discussion.
I've gotten in more arguments about a text that was taken wrong.
Yeah. I had one time that was sent me from another integrated, and it's all in caps. I didn't know what it meant. Do you know what all caps mean?
It means they're yelling.
They're yelling.
Yeah.
Somebody, my
Yeah.
staff told
Yeah.
me, they said they're yelling. I said, what? They said they're
How they-
yelling at you. I said, you got to be kidding me. So I'm still learning. I'm still learning through those.
Yeah, and then later on, I found out that somebody will text me and I'll just text K.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's supposed to be
sure.
rude.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or you
Did
say
you?
ha, ha, ha 3 times.
Yeah.
Or ha, ha. So there's,
Oh, that's so silly, isn't it?
it is. But that's the way the kids communicate now. And there's no fact checking anymore, too.
There's no fact
everything you
checking.
put out there on the website, people believe. I mean,
It's bizarre.
yeah, the trust they had in the news and everything. You would get in the news and stuff all the time. They used to have trust in the news, and now all of a sudden, they don't have trust in the news. And I don't know why social media.
I almost don't believe anything anymore.
Elon
Almost
Musk
anything.
Elon Musk has come in and cleaned it out a little bit.
He
You know,
has.
He has.
He
Think
has.
about it. Now he's talking about buying a major network too.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah.
What was it he tweeted? He said, how much they want for it?
Yeah.
No, he said, what does it go for?
He's got the money.
You
to
know,
spend.
how did he get that much money? I mean, I'm not a genius, but I do know to go from 0 to the richest man in the world in short order. It's something, you know.
He is. It
had to have been more
he
than-
is a genius himself. He is so smart. You know, when he's up on stage jumping up and down with Trump, his hands up, people are saying, please don't do that. But that's just, he doesn't know how to react to things. He's so smart. He's oblivious on
I
that
think he
part.
has Asperger's too,
Yeah, he does.
which
He
is
does.
what does that make you? I'm not sure what it is. It's,
I don't know. They're calling him uncle down there at Key Lark, down there at Trump's
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
He hadn't moved out. He's down there all the time.
they said that Trump was wondering if he was going. They did a thing on that on Saturday Night Live where he wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes it there.
Well, maybe Trump can count him off on his taxes, being,
And then, yeah.
write him off as a child.
I like what are you on Twitter? Are you following on Twitter? Are you doing
I
that?
don't. It's X now. It's
Yeah,
not,
I'm on X, but that's more of an out west sort of thing.
Yeah.
Around here, we're Facebook, and
Yeah,
out
still
there, they're
Facebook.
Twitter and
Yeah.
YouTube, and it amazes me how many people aren't on YouTube around here.
Yeah. It is.
If you're over 50, you're not on YouTube much, and if you're younger than 50, you're not on Facebook.
Yeah.
But what's next? Have you ever thought about that?
A chip be planted in you, and that's the day I'm hope I'm not here. You know, that you'll scan everything. That's the mark of the beast there. I mean, you're talking about putting a chip in you so they can, all your medical history, all your everything will be there. You go pay something, you just scan it.
I guess they could tattoo you with one of those barcodes.
I don't want a barcode on there. I'd rather not have that. We're going the wrong direction when we start going that way.
Do you think we follow social convention to the point that, I mean, I look at ironies of what people, just the irony of things.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre. Like if you go to Wendy's and there's nobody at the cash register, some people will walk through that queue and nobody's in line instead of just walking up there.
Yeah.
They're so conditioned to do what they think they're supposed to do.
Yeah. But now they want you to order out there. You don't have somebody. They got the boards out there you order now. I don't like those things. I don't like them at restaurants. They turn around, they put it there, and I said, look, that's taking the job away from you. I don't want to. I want a personal relationship. I want somebody to service me. I want somebody to say hi, be polite, come back and fill my water up. I don't want to have to ask my water to be filled up. Fill my water up. I hate it when somebody comes back and says, my glass is about empty. They say, would you like some more water?
Right.
No, I'm just going to choke this burger down for another.
Just keep pouring it.
Just keep pouring it. If they do that, I always tip them well.
I always hate when I'm sitting and I'm really talking to somebody and we're in this big conversation and they come over and start talking.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kills the whole thing.
Yeah, just pour the water. Bring me another Coke or another tea, whatever it may be.
I like they say, how was your waitress? It was perfect. I don't even know who it was.
Yeah, yeah. Get to know their name too. Yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of that servant mentality of a waiter or waitress either. That sort of bothers me too.
Yeah. Well, my brother, my son Jake, he waited tables and stuff, and he did it at Bali Bistro. I mentioned him and said, son, whatever you do, fill the water up. If it's half full, fill it up. Don't ask them, fill it up. They'll tell you if they don't want any more, just do it. Same way with Cokes, and Aubrey's is really good about that. They always bring you back a fresh glass, and you always tip them well. I mean, that's part of service, and that's what I like to see.
Aubrey's doesn't give me enough to eat.
Yeah, right.
They're just right under it, hungry.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
The portions they give you?
Yeah, I just can't get full.
Oh man.
They make me start eating the bread, to get full.
Yeah.
But I found out something that I went there Friday, and I wasn't that hungry. But I was hungry. And the guy next to me ordered a hamburger, ordered a cheddar burger and fries.
Yep.
And I ordered the kids' burger and fries. I guarantee you there wasn't 2 more bites on his. And you know how much mine was?
Probably half.
$6.
$6. Yeah. Get the kids' meal.
I thought I misheard him. And then when I got in that night, I was looking through my credit card expenses. Aubrey's $6. I think it was $5.59 or something. It was crazy cheap.
Isn't it crazy? We used to get Happy Meals when we were younger, and then we get older. We ask for the same kids' meal now. We go back to advertise. We go right back into it. So it's
is
great.
funny how things. Do you think we do it because we're wanting to relive stuff?
I think at times we were out the other day, and I saw this box of candy. And it's the old candy, the stripes, the old hard candy they had. And I got that box, and my wife says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Have you seen this candy? When I was a kid, my grandfather had a bowl of it.
Yeah.
And it had the ribbons and stuff in it, and all different.
And they really weren't that good, but it was.
Well, no, they're good. I remember it. So I got it, and I said, "Boy, this reminds me of when I was a kid." And it's just like I was saying, those memories come back. We want to harness those things and relive them at times.
We're back to those memories.
Yeah.
What do you see besides that candy that makes you remember bad times?
Try not to remember bad times. There's a lot of bad
You gloss over them?
Yeah, I try to gloss over them. I mean,
is there a wall there?
They still come back at times, like my brother's death, but I don't think you ever get over it. You relive it every so often, but he's always there. It's hard. The bad times, always bad times. You always want to go out and tell 20 different people. Somebody didn't do something right. If somebody does something good, you only tell 2. Dee. That's just the way we are. That's the way we program. And but at bad times, I just try to lock them away.
But smells and things will bring them back up.
Oh yeah. I can remember. You can remember your grandparents' house. I'm sure when you went into it.
I can smell it.
The smells inside and stuff. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think maybe smell is the thing that takes your memory back, maybe more than sight or sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like this. You know, when you smell, you only smell out of one side of your nose, and then it alternates.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
There's something
it
to that.
alternates back and forth.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it is.
I heard that from somebody.
Yeah, it
But so, what possessed you to be a city councilman? Was that a stretch?
It really was a stretch. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. I started my political career in the county school board. Did you know that? 204 to 208.
Yeah, I did know that.
Well,
Yeah.
Mark Grissom.
Yeah.
Mark Grissom.
Yeah, old Mark. Yeah.
Old Mark Grissom. He was a good one, wasn't he? I remember
Sure was.
Mark. We actually fought with denim that time. Remember that the school wanted
yeah.
to change it over to uniforms
Yeah.
and cotton.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, well, denim is cotton. And they had a whole committee set up. And
Mark would have never gone for that.
no, me and Mark beat it. We beat it. I had people calling me. I had a bus driver out in Blue Springs and said, look, Tom, I'm a single mother. I got 5 kids. I can't afford to buy these clothes.
Were they going to make
set-
the parents pay for them too?
Yeah, parents pay for them. Then they have to pay. Then they had to pay for clothes on the weekend too, because they weren't going to wear those clothes, those uniforms on the weekend.
Right.
And it was a stretch. You got a little hole in them. You couldn't wear them anymore. So
Whose
she
idea
couldn't
was
pay-
that?
Well, it was part of it being structured and having uniforms, and it was going to cost the families more, and it got beat. And I remember Mark, we got it beat because the families came out. We had some satellites at North Lee and Michigan Avenue. That's all they want to talk about. We don't want denim. We want wear denim. We wore denim in high school. We wore denim here, and it kept it that way. And Mark is funny. Mark got 2 bumper stickers. We supported denim in the county schools. And he gave me one, he had one. He wouldn't give anybody else, when everybody else was on the board want one. He said, no, y'all not going to have one. I'm sorry, just me and Tom. So,
What got him on the school board?
I don't know what got him on the school board.
When did you meet him? At the school board?
At school board. I knew him before, but school board, we really had a great relationship, Mark and myself. We really did. We really did, up till when he passed away. He was always a great friend. I remember a quick story about him. I remember he called me one time. He said, Tom, you got to come over here to the funeral home and go in the back. I said, okay. So I go over there, and I go up to the front. I said, where's Mark at? And he says, down back. And I got outside, and I smell smoking like a barbecue. And I walk around back. Mark says, I got this new pellet grill. You got to see this thing. I've got this thing smoking down here on the covered area on the side of the back of this place. And I said, Mark, you may want to rethink this. He said, what are you talking about? I said, kids got their mom and dad down here. You got around this garage door, you're smoking meat outside. He goes, oh my, you know how Mark was, God, I didn't think about that. And he started laughing.
He probably didn't.
He said, I can't do that. I said, you don't have a barbecue place at a funeral home. That's a Was
that when he was living in the basement down there?
It was. Yeah. It was. It sure was. Yep.
Do you remember that guy he used to run around with? And I've asked a bunch of people this, and nobody remembers.
No, I don't.
James Guffey.
I don't remember James. No.
He was good friends with James Guffey, and I was friends with James Guffey, and nobody remembers James Guffey or Mark being friends with James Guffey,
No,
and I just can't believe it.
I don't remember that, but like I said, Mark and we were just he was great to work with, and great sense of humor. We'd laugh.
I built the dog and suds for him.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That went over pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a lot of business.
Yeah. But that's how I got into politics. You talk about politics,
Yeah.
I got into that. And I always thought, and I got out of it because we bought the business and I didn't really have time for it. And I always said, if I ever went back to it, I want to go to county or city because I want to be part of the funding. Because in a school board, all you get is money and you're not part of putting the funds out there in different areas. So that was my intent. If I ever went back, I want to be responsible for the funding side of it and make an impact, a difference in the community.
Did you have to run for school board?
I did.
So that was your first chance?
Yeah.
How many elections have you run for?
School board and then 2 other elections After that,
So-
third one. This is my third term on the city council. So I served 2 terms in 2016, 2020, and got reelected 2024. So 33 terms, my third
Is
term.
it being on city council harder than I would think?
Well, it is. Dee, you were on the planning commission. You were a chair for a number of years.
27 years I was on it.
So you were on it. So you know
It
the
was
things.
hard. It was harder than you could describe
Yeah,
to somebody.
yeah.
Just-
People don't understand it.
Just the nuances of why you and really 90% of the time you're just following the exact rules.
Yeah,
And the other 10% are so nuanced.
yeah.
I mean, it's tough.
And how many times would you get caught outside and people saying, "Why are you doing this here? Why are you doing that here?"
Oh yeah.
I mean, you get cornered.
Yeah,
Any place,
or they-
restaurant,
Or
shopping.
they call you during the week, say, "Hey, I heard you was on the planning commission," and I was always for, if you own this property and somebody's wanting to do something different over here that's not zoned, I always lean towards the homeowner, what was existing.
You should.
I thought
And-
that was important
Yeah.
because you shouldn't have to come and fight every 2 years for what you thought
Yeah.
you had.
Yeah, and to serve the third district, I'm honored that people give me the role to serve them. That's what I am, a servant to them. I'm not. If you get to a point where you think you're higher than they are, it's time for you to step away from it
Well,
because
those-
you are a servant. They're up here and you're down here.
And they will get rid of you.
They
Maybe
will
not that term, but the next
They will
one.
get rid of you. You're exactly right. They want to voice their opinion. You listen to their voices, whatever the majority is. You go with it. Like you're saying, always homeowners. Homeowners always come first on that part.
I always remembered in the 27 years I was on there,
That's a long time.
that was a long time.
Did you get an award for that? Did you get?
You wouldn't believe. For 27 years, every time somebody got off, they would give them a plaque.
You didn't get one?
I didn't get one.
Well, we're gonna see how-
Finally, after about a year, I thought, well, they're gonna call me for my award. People have been on there 6 months and got a plaque.
Yeah.
I finally called David May, and he finally got me one.
Yeah. David served on there too. You served with David. He was on there for
He
about
sat right
25
beside me. I know
25 years or
I
something
know
like
just
that.
how he thinks.
Yeah.
So, and he's a pretty good thinker.
He is.
He really is. He can pretty much filter out the BS pretty quick.
Yeah. He's been around the block once or twice, hasn't
But
he?
what used to be 20 years ago, what was acceptable and the norm became different
Yeah.
when I got off. Used to it was more about space,
Yeah.
and it got to where how much can we cram in on this little bitty space?
Well, Dee, I think you were chairman on it when the time we started the PUDs, weren't you? We
Yeah.
started the PUD. What was the first PUD over there on that on Paul Huff? Was that the first one? You remember?
No.
Where-
PUDs used, in my recollection is PUDs were when it was like 10 acres.
Yeah.
And it ran, and that was a good thing because in 10 acres,
Yeah.
you could have multiple different uses. But then they reduced it to, I think it was like a 3 acre PUDs. And I understand now that it may just be,
I think it's 5 acres. It may be 3 or 5. I'm just one of the.
I think it's maybe 3.
3.
now.
Okay.
So
Well, you know,
so
you're
you
a
can
builder.
so you can
Stack the homes on there.
you can stack the homes or you can just about do anything you want to.
Yeah.
I liked the old pyramid zoning that they used to have because to me that was better. And I guess it's maybe not now, but you had your farmland, your
Yeah.
commercial, farm, industrial, commercial, residential, and it went like that.
Yeah.
And so, but if you've got a piece of property I remember growing up, if it was commercial, you had something.
Yeah.
You had a valuable piece of property because it was
Right.
commercial.
Right.
Now, you just get enough votes and call yourself a PUD.
Yeah.
So it's sort of taken away, in my opinion, the valuableness of a commercial piece of property.
Yeah. Well, builders now, they want to get as much money as they can. So the more lots you have in a facility, the more money you're going to make. And I understand that. It's just, but it also is a negotiating point too, because the city can negotiate with the builder, like putting different things like a park area of so much, or putting sidewalks, or, it's kind of a give and take on both ways. So instead of just going strictly onto what the R1 is.
I've noticed those areas where they're able, I guess they call that high density and low density.
Yeah.
And, you can have more apartments, but you got to have some green area. But I think that considering parking is one of the most important things, because even out in the city fields where they're doing all those new houses, they're able to get a 3-bedroom house on it, and everybody's happy. But the cars are parked out in the road.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't pull up in front of your house at night and comfortably park, is that not a necessity? I mean, to me, that's a necessity.
Yeah. Yeah. You should. I mean, if you got areas where, you go to these old towns that people are parking on the road, they may have one car, but now they got multiple cars.
Right.
So maybe they have 2 or 3 cars.
Generally, they got 3.
Yeah, you got wife and husband has one, and the kid has one. So, you have to make do and make parking for somewhere.
Where are they going to park?
Well, they have to park on the road. So, a lot of cities do that.
And well, what happens is they pull over on the side of the house.
Yeah.
And now you start junk.
Yep. Exactly right.
And so now you're in the future, you're going to make the neighborhood look like what you're trying to fix.
Right. You talk about neighborhoods and stuff, and you talk about property, farmland. What do you think? A good segue to this is the growth in the city of Cleveland. What's your thought? Being a builder, what's your thoughts about the growth of the city of Cleveland?
Well, I'll tell you what, and it's something that rings in my head. You may not have known him, Ralph Rogers. Did you know him?
I didn't know him.
He was back in I worked for my uncle building houses forever, from time I was 14 on. So Ralph Rogers was one of those guys that went under the radar, but he built a lot, he developed subdivisions. He was one of the best at prognosticating real estate and trends that I ever knew. But he never got any fame or fortune, never did. Probably nobody even remembers him. But I went into Old Fort one day, and he was there. He had been in the nursing home, and they'd brought him to eat there. And I said, "Hey, Ralph, how you doing?" He said, "Fine." And that was back in the maybe 80, 88 or 89. And I said, "Ralph, they tell me that they're building too many apartments around here. What do you think?" And he said, "Dee, you can start building apartments right now as fast as you want, and you'll never catch the need in Cleveland and Bradley County." And he was exactly right. Now, how did he know that?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the growth is unbelievable right now. I mean, if it's got a wide enough place to build a house, somebody's trying to figure out how to build on it.
Yeah, people like that you're talking about that can foresee the growth and where it's going. Another person was good at that, and my wife Denise, who I've been married 41 years with, and God bless her soul, lived with me for 41 years.
Yeah.
She worked for Ben Moore for about 35 years. And Ben, I've seen him, and she's the same way. His vision, he knew exactly where things were going. He would purchase land out someplace. You'd think, why are you buying that land? And sure enough, he'd sit on it, where Target's at and all that. I mean, he had a farm over there. I remember when they had a little dirt road going through there for that. And Mr. Burns, who was from Covington, West Virginia, he was an engineer. He built a plant in Cleveland for Westvaco. And he, at that time, he said, "Tom," he said, "there will be an interchange to the interstate all the way to the industrial park." And that's Paul Huff. And that was back in '76. I mean, it wasn't even a thought.
Nobody had
it. It was a dirt road.
Yeah.
I remember riding a bus. It was a one-lane road, a little house on the right and on the left. and you couldn't get through there. But he bought all that property and put some cattle on it, and after that, here we go. He had a sense for where the growth was, and Ben was and I still say this, Ben was a cornerstone of Cleveland as far as growth goes. If it wasn't for him, there's so many wonderful things. You would think a lot of people thought Ben was mean and crusty. I think he put that up front, but when it came to kids and his family, he really loved them, Dee. I've seen that in him, and he really cared for his grandkids.
Yeah, he wasn't.
No, he would help you out, and it was always a game to him. These guys that do that, it was almost, okay, what can I get this for? What can I sell it for? But he was a great, great individual, very good to me.
I tried to get him on here. He was going to come,
and Joe,
he scared out. He I had him in the driveway.
Did you? Oh, the stories he would tell you. He
said, "I can't get up them stairs, boy."
Yeah, boy.
I said, "Yeah, you can, Ben. I'll get somebody come over and help you." He said, "I ain't gonna get on that thing."
Yeah.
But I believe if a little more prodding, I would have got him.
Yeah. The stories he could tell you from his growing up to when he was a kid to people he knew at the state level and stuff. He knew a lot of people. He loved to read, loved history too. Niece would always buy him a book at history.
He was a big Democrat too, wasn't he?
He
was a Democrat.
He was.
When,
but a lot of people were Democrats back then. But the Dems now have lost their way. I mean, you look at them now trying to restructure.
He was what we call a Reagan Democrat, I guess.
You're exactly right. Exactly right.
Do you think that? I think that that the progress next year will start to slow down. All the construction.
You think it will slow down?
Yeah, I think it will slow down about August.
Okay. What makes you say that?
I know that
because interest rates, I'm hoping to go back down. So
there's a catch-up point, and we're gonna run out of sewer. And when that runs out,
you're talking about Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you go into the county, they've got where you could use a septic tank in the past takes about the equivalent to double. So you really have to have about 3 acres to get a new septic tank approved.
Yeah.
So you're not going to go back and develop a road where people have to put 2 and 3 acres, and you can't even really get a soil scientist out there anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to slow down a little bit.
I kind of disagree with that. I think the growth, and we've talked about it as a council too, and I've made comments too. The growth is going to go out Mouse Creek Road, all the way up to Charleston. All that farmland has been developed because it's the least resistance. You got the Cleveland sewer runs right down Mouse Creek, and it will develop that way. That's where our growth.
So the right side,
between Mouse Creek and Mouse Creek Road. And frontage road.
All right, so if you go down the road, you don't have much on the left because you got the interstate.
Right,
so
but on the right-hand side.
So you've got all those subdivisions.
Well, there's still plenty of property out there. You go out there.
Which is Allen Jones.
Well, it's Allen, it's the Hoopers, and Wright Brothers, and
So which one of them's going to sell?
Well, when it gets enticed a little bit, when you want to develop it, you stay away from it. You got the creek kind of bordering it, but that's going to be the least resistance. You can't get it to the south side. Industrial park, a good thing about industrial park. The next industrial park they're looking for is probably going to be at Charleston because it has a sewer, it has an exit. There's property up there. There's plenty of property, so that's probably be the next. If you do that, residential have to go down Mouse Creek. It's inevitable. You just can't. You can't
if it's going to go, it'll go there. You can't
stop it. Yeah, you can't stop it.
They say most counties move towards the northwest. Progress towards the northwest because of the way the ridges run and the way it's best for the sewer to run. So that's, but
Allen's protected enough. Allen's protected enough for the mountain. He's not going to see that over there. But it's like I said, now you can actually get zoned into the city, which happened out there at the little store out there. We zoned it in to the city. By election, you can put it on the ballot, and you know who votes for that? The person that owns the property. Nobody else.
Oh, I know, yeah.
It's
See, now,
just-
20
it's
years
just-
ago, that'd be spot zoning that accuse you of going to
but
jail.
But you can do it now, and we've in some way or another we've got it. It's in legislation. I don't know, but Bradley County can do that. So
Yeah.
and the county's really struggling with it, which I don't understand. You know, over where the racetrack was is a good example. They were pulling in all that property that Alan Calhoun had. He wanted to annex it in. It was 100 yards, and so we have to go to the county, and they have to say, okay, we want to, you know, it's more than 100 yards. We have to ask you for permission. They would say no. They got $15,000 a year for that property tax. If they develop it in with Allen, which they finally did, the tax base revenue they would get, the city does all the roads, does everything, puts sewer and everything else in, and then the tax base goes from 15,000 their part to $250,000. So.
But
I'm thinking, why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, you're getting the best of both worlds. You still, the county, people live in the city, fund about 55% of the county.
so you say here I am in the city. Here's the city, and I want to get this rezoned into the city, and I'm going to bring sewer to it. Now, so now the policemen, they go through here and they got to. The bus has got it. You got all that infrastructure cost of where does the police stop and then you're passing all these houses that don't have sewer at them, but they're on septic tanks.
But when we do that, you have to have all parties buy into it. You have to have public works, the police, fire. Everybody has to buy into it. Okay, if somebody says no, it's not going to work, then that's fine. I could, you know.
If they all buy into it, But I've always thought about it being contiguous. I'm from that old. Maybe it's just my old mindset.
Charleston's a good example. Charleston wanting to grow their borders too with this new growth we got with the county they're working on now. And see, our new growth is going all the way up from Frontage Road on that side, Mouse Creek, all the way up to Charleston,
I think the growth is going to be exit 33 and turn left there at the new Valker, and everything from there all the way to Calhoun, to this side of the bridge, and then it'll be over the hill and everything north to Charleston.
Yeah.
It'll look like this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think that's the next boom. I think when you get over the hill of Lauderdale Parkway and you dead end to North Lee Highway, that's going to be the new Georgetown, the new Paw Huff.
Yeah, it will. If you build an industrial park over there too, you'll have to have residential support it.
Yeah.
And this will start there and grow back the other way, I think, a lot of that.
And then if we keep going, maybe we can be as big as we'll be losing the small town flavor.
I think we've already lost the small town flavor.
It's over.
It's over. It's a medium-sized town. People say I was like the small, but you gotta have some kind of growth. You know.
I was talking to Andrew Johnson's brother. What's his name? Shit, I can't think of it. Harry Johnson. No, not Harry. Not Andrew. Andrew's brother, Avery. Couldn't think of it. He was telling me, he explained to me that you have to have progress to exist, that you could not. He made so much sense out of it. He said you had to move forward. You could not stay the same. And I guess that's the truth.
Yeah, and sewer's a big part of it too.
It's maybe all of it.
It's all of it. It really is, and that's why the city held on to the sewer for the rights to. We have to approve it for the Cleveland Utilities to move it out, because there's been situations in Tennessee and other communities where they allow sewer to go out in the county, and then you can't annex it out, and that way you start to use your corridor, your main heart. People coming through the city, you don't have the same funds, you don't have any growth. You have to raise taxes to keep the roads available up, and so it's always important as we grow with that too. And again, the county is just getting a $15,000 to $250,000. To me, that's a no-brainer, Dee. I mean, I'm like, well, yeah, I'd go back. I don't have to raise taxes. We're developing this property. You're still in the county. And if it ever becomes a metro, the city has to give the charter to the county. You can't do that. And that's not going to happen anytime in my time, I can tell you. Maybe down the road, maybe 50 years from now, when things change, it may. But right now, I think the city does a wonderful job with the funds we have. Where we're at with funding too, where we went back and set our funding where a lot of it's fixed now. And, you know, some of it was, you know, on a balloon note, 5 years they said it was fixed. It wasn't. We had the right people in there, then we fixed that. So it's starting to trend down. So 3 or 5 years, we'll be ready to fund a lot more on our debt. Our debt will be a lot lower.
That's so much over my head, all that stuff. I mean, it's just way over my head.
Yeah. How about downtown? How about down at Johnson Park? You been by Johnson Park?
Hadn't been by there, no.
You got to go by there. Go by there at nighttime. Get
Nowhere
out. You'll see 4
nowhere
or
to
5
park.
families out there. No, you'll see 4 or 5 families out there walking around the tree. It's a 20-foot tree. They got speakers in the ground. It's got music going. We'll have Emmons Street.
They say it's really nice.
It's nice. I mean, there's a ton of people that are getting pictures and can't believe how nice it is. And that's just the start of it. You take the summit. You take Roy's alternators and what they're doing to that and have it done. So it's going to be nice downtown.
They're supposed to reroute to 3rd Street or something.
That 3rd Street corridor
Yeah.
is to go around and keep it going from Emmons Street, going under the bridge. They finally going to go over the railroad tracks instead of going under the railroad tracks. It's a state road, so the state said, look, we got to do something different with that.
You know, Ringo did that. They made their overpass look really nice. Their bridge.
Yeah.
I suspect they'll do something like that with it here.
They will. And all that property develop. And then hopefully downtown we'll have more residential down there. Somebody will come in with big apartment buildings. Maybe it'll be you.
Could be. Nobody's
get some of the young
Who do
people
I
down
talk to about buying land down
Well,
there?
you get some tax benefits.
But who do
off of
I
that.
talk to?
Well, you just talk to the city, you know,
Who?
or whoever owns the property.
Who at the city?
Whoever owns property.
I'm game.
The game. There's a few people that owns property in there. I'd take care of it.
I thought it was all Phoenix.
Well, it is Phoenix. Phoenix has sold some of it off on that part. There's
I
some
called them.
private-
They didn't call me back.
They didn't call you back. That didn't surprise me on that part. But
Who do you talk to?
well, I would get Joe Fivas, our city manager. He knows people that owns a property there, or Jonathan Jobe, the engineer. He'll know if somebody parking lot back behind where Whirlpool is. Some people. I think Chris Townsend owns some of it. He bought that cleaner place right there on Inman, and I think behind he owns some property too. That lot be between that and the
What's a nice
old
lot?
mill. That'd be ideal to put
ideal.
residential.
Yeah.
A big complex like do in Nashville. You know, you ever been to those big complexes
Oh,
in Nashville?
yeah.
My son lives in there. He just moved in a new one. It is absolutely phenomenal what they have.
They're putting more residential in commercial areas than they did in the past. Used to it was separated.
Yeah, if you did that, it'd balloon downstairs. You'd have more restaurants downstairs.
Yeah.
A little more boutique shops.
Yeah.
Maybe even a grocery store to help support. But you got to have residential down there. That's an important part of downtown success on that part. A lot of young kids and older people too would like to live in a place they can just walk to.
Well, as we become more of a big city and a metropolitan type area, then you'll have more of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it just comes with it.
Yeah. But I'm excited about the summit too. If you have a chance to see the plans on it,
I hadn't seen
the
it.
renderings, and the Roy's alternator next door is going to be the council chambers. There'll be a council room there with a roll-up door, big courtyard coming out where the parking lot in front of it with the water fountain. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I saw the inside of that, and it's going to be phenomenal. It'll seat like 100 people, and upstairs will be the offices and stuff, but downstairs, and then Summit will be one-stop shop. You'll go in there, and they'll have you can do all your city business. Right now, you got 4 or 5 different buildings you have to go to.
Well, they make you do pretty much everything online now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, see, I don't like that, D. I want to go in and talk to somebody.
well, you can't do
I
that.
gotta ask questions.
Well, go down there and tell them you want a building permit.
Okay.
See who you talk to.
Well, you should be able to talk to people.
You
That's what it
should.
be.
You should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one do we want? I don't think we can have both.
I want to talk to people. I want to be directed. And each floor, I believe, is going to be each department. You know, so and I think the top 2 floors, we won't have anything in it, but I'm encouraged to them to go ahead and finish those on that. So, but we had to take the alternator building and make that because we didn't have a room for a council room that big.
Yeah.
If we did, we had to take on the first floor, take some walls out.
Then you'd have to go upstairs more.
Well, you take the walls out, guess what? If you move the walls, or if you move the doors, as far as the renovation, the tax break you get because of historical is several millions of dollars we would lose from the state.
Yeah.
I said, well, we don't want to do that then. We don't want to lose that money.
Did
from
you
the
ever
state.
know Roy, the alternator, Roy?
No, I
Alternator?
didn't.
I knew him. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew him.
There used to be a gas station there.
Yeah, and he used to be down there close to Cassada.
Yeah.
Roy's alternator.
Yeah.
Now that's a business that went out.
Yeah.
Working on alternators. He'd work on alternators and starters and diodes and all that kind of stuff.
But you can't work on cars now, alternators or anything
He'd
else.
sit there
Change
like
it.
this. He specialized in that though, but that's what he did.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't pull them out now. It's hard to get.
I wouldn't even know what one looks like in a car now, would you?
No.
What are they foreseeing as you come in from Benton on 64? Are they going to make that like the entry, or like a, what do they call that?
A gateway.
Gateway, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It very much is. And we're talking about cleaning it up and having signage and stuff as you come in that way, just the same way as you come in downtown.
Where would that start? At the bypass, or would it be when you got closer in?
Closer in to Cleveland there is to clean some of those places up. And there's some buildings that need to be taken care of. They rezoned. They're trying to rezone downtown for commercial since you've been off.
Well,
they're trying to go back and repurpose some
I was
of the
on
properties.
that. That was one of the last things we did.
Yeah. Robert Varnell's doing a great job.
They say he's doing good.
Oh
I
my
like
goodness, he is spot on, and he doesn't mind challenging you too, D, which I like. He'll challenge you.
Well, I knew his dad. Did you know his dad?
No, I didn't know his dad.
Oh, I knew his dad. Yeah. Robert
Barnell Nursery. Yeah.
No, Robert Barnell.
Robert Barnell. Yeah.
The lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bob.
Yeah. All right. But he would challenge you. He challenges you. He's a lot different than anybody else.
Well, it wasn't like his dad. His dad would do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just frank, matter of fact.
Okay. Yeah.
He was real. Robert Barnell was real smart.
Yeah.
He could really do a lot.
Yeah.
He's just smart.
Robert's done a great job for us. He's a great asset to us. On that
We've
part.
got a good team. When do you think it all went from existing to progressing? Does that make sense? Or is that my imagination?
Just recently it has.
I guess maybe when Magic Chef, when Whirlpool moved, maybe that started the thinking.
Yeah, it had. Yeah, it did for that property. What was going to be used for, and I was really hoping that Whirlpool would work with the city and do something, because the city, when they put it on Benton Pike, that facility over there, the city did a lot of things for them.
A lot, yeah.
And you're talking about having all these 1,400 employees, and having a park down there where the old Whirlpool. It just, I don't know where it came about there. Some way it went sideways, and Phoenix got a hold of it. I don't know why they didn't give us, the city, an opportunity to take it on that part.
I'm like you.
Because
It's
cleaning
like
up
there
now
was
with brownfields and stuff, not
Yeah.
many people can do that. The state has funds, federal has funds.
right.
Stuff that's been in the ground that can be cleaned up. Your private person couldn't do that. You have to have the state or city to really.
Well, and you got the liability of the chain of
Yeah.
ownership. It's like anybody that's in that chain of ownership could be potentially liable.
Right.
So that takes
Yeah.
brains above what I've got.
Yeah. Yeah. The Whirlpool is a.
But I think downtowns need something besides, this is just my thoughts, something besides just, I think residential needs to come. I think residential will come as an after effect. I still think you need a reason to go downtown.
Well, I think the property is going to be more valuable as the summit comes about and comes on. In the same way, Dee, as I always said, when I got onto the council, we voted 7-0 to start moving dirt. And we just started doing that here, last year?
Last
So
year,
it took
maybe.
us 7-8 years to get to that point. But I think it's important, and I always said this, they were waiting for somebody like a white horseman come in, like Alan Jones or somebody to buy it and do it. And I said, look, nobody's going to put money into the city of Cleveland until the city of Cleveland invests in itself. You know, if we invest in ourselves, other people come on board. You know, builders like you will come on board, seeing these real nice things, these buildings being refurbished, and downtown. I could see Emmett Street being used for festivals. What better place to have a festival? You can close the street off, a couple of streets, and you can see the whole corridor, close it down, everybody can park and walk in. And on top of that, so far as security goes, somebody, city police could be on top of the summit. You can see the whole corridor. So people on footbeat or, you know, walking around, they could have a radio saying, hey, we see this or that. And, you know, the courthouse is great, but you have to walk around the courthouse. You have to, you know, this way you can see all the way down and see all the way back up. And I'm hoping we'll start having some festivals down there. And by doing that, foot traffic will help the museum. It'll help the other restaurants and people that have businesses down there too.
You got to have a reason to go down there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why we don't go down to, 6th and 8th Street.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
So you got to have something going on.
Got to have festivals.
Or a thing,
Yeah.
whatever that thing
Yeah.
is. It could be anything.
The concert down at First Street Park. That's gone over huge.
That's gone over huge, yeah.
That's what we got to have. We got to have programs. We got to have things down there to get people downtown. You know, and by doing that, you'll start seeing businesses pop up. You know, I have a lot of ladies, my wife included. You know, where you got a new restaurant? We got a new. Where can we shop at? And you know, the mall is kind of a dead thing now.
Yeah.
So downtown boutique shops, if you go like Franklin, their downtown is just booming all the time.
What do they have downtown in Franklin?
Yeah.
What is it they have there?
Well, they have the Dixon Village is coming up, and we've been there several times. And the people down there, people live there, dress up like Dixon Village. You have Santa Clauses dress up different Santa. I mean, authentic. And then you get pictures made with them. And there's a bunch of vendors. There's a ton of things to do down there. We always go, and it's a beautiful time. I would encourage you to try to and go and see it.
You know, the Charleston does good with that Cowpea Festival.
Cowpea Festival,
I've been a couple of times. It's a pretty big deal.
And see, we got the Slaw Festival now downtown.
Yes, Slaw Festival.
So we just have to start.
Pittsburgh, South Pittsburgh has the cornbread.
Cornbread
Don't they have the cornbread festival?
Cornbread Festival, yeah.
Dayton has the Strawberry Festival.
The Strawberry Festival, exactly right. Yeah. We just have to have more activities downtown to get people downtown. And if we have a concert hall, outside hall, where we can have on Saturdays and Sundays or Saturdays selling vegetables and stuff, having a farmer's market, that's another way to bring people down. But you have to have parking too.
You gotta have
parking. And
where have I heard that?
It probably
remember me just saying, I was saying that about those small houses. You have to have parking.
Yeah, and about 3 years ago, I submitted a plan to the city, the whole block. If you take where the municipal building is, where the city hall is now, and take it all the way down to the corner and back up to the police office, make it a whole block. We own the property.
Yeah.
Make it a 3-story. You can get about 350 cars in there. What better place to have a parking garage when you're attached to the police department? The police department can park down there.
Yeah.
And you're only a block away from parking. You're right there in the middle. You're right there in the middle of town.
You could give a certain level to the people that worked downtown.
Yeah. So it'd be a great place to have a parking garage, but they've got to have the festivals. But what do you put, the cart or the horse first? I mean, I think we have to look at that. Have parking downtown.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's why some places have those paid parking garages and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Because that funds it.
The Elks Club's another good reason. All the lot they got next to it is to have that as a parking garage. Not a parking garage, just a parking. The city would probably, I would say, we've had discussions with them about renting that and actually doing parking there so you could park and walk into downtown. You usually want to park outside and walk in to Emmett Street, you know what I'm saying? Not park on Emmett Street. Ideal is to park out and walk in to a festival.
You ever wondered if somebody had a rough house downtown and maybe they didn't want to sell it, if they just tore it down and said, I've got 8 parking spaces here, I'm going to lease these spaces for a year.
Yeah.
That might be a pretty good, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah. Well, the old building that Joe V. Williams had right there on the corner.
Yeah.
it was tore down. He's got people wanting to do a paid parking in there right this time. I spoke to him the other day. So
Wonder how many that would park.
I'm not sure how many would park, but he's got.
They probably don't want to call him to ask.
Yeah, it's based on the percentage.
Yeah.
You know, W. Williams, it's a percentage, whatever it is. But yeah, it's going to be a struggle. If we start having events downtown, it's going to be a struggle for people where they need to park at.
You know, years ago I was eating at the Liars table, and they were talking about revitalizing downtown. This was
25 years ago. they had the plan.
Mid-'80s.
Yeah.
That was when they decided to put that gazebo up there
Okay.
on the courthouse.
Okay.
And Troy Dixon said, in his odd humor, he says, if they lose one more parking space downtown, they'll kill it.
Yeah.
But it was what he was saying was it's already dead.
Yeah.
Because that gazebo took out one parking space at the time. That was a big deal.
Well, there's parking spaces on both sides. On that side,
But it killed one space. He said, well, they're killing Cleveland because they did away with it.
Yeah, you're right. We got to have more parking downtown, and when the summit gets done, we'll have a limited parking. People park, but not a lot of parking. So we really need to start thinking about parking or different ways that we can get.
But there's some big overall
Access.
plan, right? I've seen those. You can see them online. They got the drones flying in and.
Well, that's that third corridor you were talking about, and you see all these buildings, and that landscape changes. It changes all the time.
Yeah, it's just a theory.
You know, on the corner of 5 Points down there, where you got the accounting office.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be in a conference center, a motel and conference
Yeah.
center, but it's not going to be there now.
Yeah.
So as living, breathing document, it changes.
Sure.
All the time. You know, as you go down, it changes. Somebody has
It's
it.
just a theory. Just a theory.
Yeah, it's just theory. But that was the second one we did. You know, did one 25 years, and we did one, 70 years ago, I guess it was. Had them come in and do a whole nother plan over that. Have a
I
lot of
always
input.
wondered if when they come off 3rd Street, instead of turning left and then going at Inman at the roundabout, if they somehow or another made it more of a straight shot, that would move traffic a little bit, come out there closer to the...
There's going to be a couple roundabouts on that corridor, on that part. So it's where they're tying it in, how they're getting it back over into Wildwood and everything. So it's going to be nice. It's going to affect some people. It's going to affect some businesses. You know, it's
Well, it's more
tough.
traffic, so you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But
We're trying to divert it from downtown and have downtown more pedestrian friendly.
yeah,
That's what you want.
and it wasn't before. You couldn't walk on Inman Street.
And then when we closed, this is the whole thing about Emmett Street. When we narrowed it up and single laned it and turn lanes in there versus 4 lanes, everybody's like, "You're going to kill it. You're going to kill it. We're going to get through there." But Kingston Pike up in Knoxville, that's the data we had. It used to be 4 lanes and accidents. It was terrible. They push more traffic through there now and have less accidents because they did the same thing that we did down at Emmett Street, and everybody loves it.
Well, I went
Street
down
lamps.
Inman 3 times in the past week and a half. I got through there quicker than I did before. It was a quicker.
And safer.
Yeah, I mean it was.
Because if you're turning, somebody's turning left, and you're turning left, and somebody comes up, and you go out, and you get T-boned.
Yeah, it was a lot quicker and smoother.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure why, but it was just more smoother.
And with the 4 lanes too, with the stoplights, that's another thing. I was talking about Chief Gibson. We were having a picnic. I said, "Look, by the time I get 5 Points, I'm going 55." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, when I go up to Coe and Broad, I get green light, and Park, I said green light, 5 Points. But I'm going to beat those green lights. I'm going to catch them. And by the time I get to 5 Points, I'm going 55, 60 miles an hour just to beat that light."
They won't stop you.
No, it won't stop. It won't stop.
I mean, they won't stop you for speeding.
Well, they should.
Yeah.
They should. And the sidewalks are real narrow too. I mean, now the sidewalks are 9 and 10 feet wide. I mean, so.
Isn't the next thing Central Street or Central Avenue? They're coming down through it.
Yeah. We're the downtown, and that's always an argument on both sides. Developers and stuff, they always want to go north side of town. They think spending money downtown is a waste. But I think there's a balance between both of them. I think you really need to have a downtown because that's the heartbeat of our community. And north side of town too, I understand that is where people are growing. It's city's moving that away, but still, just to have that.
Couldn't you argue that
Nostalgia,
the
I
north?
guess,
Couldn't you
downtown.
argue that the north side doesn't need help? That it's going to go on its own.
It's going to go on
You
its
know
own.
what I'm saying?
It's
That-
going to go on its own. And I can see also, I'll say this, when it goes, we talk about going down Mouse Creek, between Mouse Creek and Mouse Creek Road. I can always see a connector from Mouse Creek going over Lee Highway somewhere too.
Maybe
to help
Hooper Gap, maybe.
The Hooper Gap, exactly
Yeah.
right, pushing over that away to the right. I could see that happening, trying not to push so much traffic down to Paul Huff. You could skip over to Frontage Road or to Lee Highway. If you did that, those corridors will be something for maybe have a fire department out there, city fire department, and maybe have an elementary school out there, maybe have a police precinct that far out.
I've been going
cover that area.
I've got a little hideaway barn up on Mouse Creek Road that I go
And
to.
I like to see the interstate, have access to the interstate off of Hooper.
I think that
that-
was the original way back in the day.
And then Harrison Pike too. I still like to see Harrison Pike coming downtown.
Have you driven down Hooper Gap where Hooper Gap hits Mouse Creek lately?
I have not. I've been out there. I got some friends out there.
Well, it will shock you, the traffic right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you can't get through, but
Yeah.
you're thinking, dang, there's a lot of traffic right here.
Well, instead of going down to all Mouse Creek going to Paul Huff, I'd go that way to Frontage Road.
Absolutely.
I mean, the road's wider.
Road's wider.
The city's looking now to actually widen Mouse Creek Road. We've been talking about a lot, and actually putting culverts in to make it wider, because right of ways and stuff are really narrow.
I remember when that was gravel.
Yeah. And then we're talking about the Greenway. It's taking the Greenway from there all the way down
Yeah.
to the soccer fields.
Yep.
So all the people in the neighborhoods will have access to Greenway. They can ride their bikes and whatever they want to, or get to the, and that would take more off the traffic. on
Well,
Mouse
the
Creek.
city management has become more about that than it was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That was not even in the cards.
Yeah. Well, think about Paul Huff, D. When they built Paul Huff. That's 30 years. People thought they were crazy.
I remember.
What did he do?
I remember when they weren't going to let them do it because it was too big. I remember when the PTA was going for E.O. Ross was trying to keep the road from coming there, and they finally agreed to it as long as they wouldn't let any businesses be on it.
Yeah. Look at it now. It's almost it's packed out.
I don't even like that.
We got a Whataburger's coming. You know
A
that?
Whataburger, no?
Whataburgers. Yeah,
Where would
coming on
they be?
Stewart Road, going down right down by Zaxby's. They've already applied for it. You
Well,
used to be on the loop in this. When
I
you
used to be on the loop, yeah.
And Carver's too. Carver's restaurant. It's going up there on Paul Huff and Frontage Road, right there on the corner where the motel.
What'd you call it? Carver's?
It's Carver's. Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse is wanting to come.
Yeah.
But I thought they were going to.
Logan's has not really done that much. I mean,
No,
they've
it's
been
the
here.
same food,
Yeah,
really.
it's basically the same.
It's the same food.
Yeah.
I've got this theory: businesses.
How about what's the other restaurant that was supposed to come in here? Everybody talk about Red Lobster.
Red Lobster.
Red
Everybody's
Lobster.
always saying it coming. Well, that was a good restaurant too, wasn't it?
Red Lobster.
Red
When
Lobster.
we get a Red
They'll
Lobster?
hyperimpose that picture on stuff. I got a theory that entertainment stuff does better on the left side going to town.
Okay.
And grocery stores and stuff are on the right side going to town, and grocery stores and gas stations do better on the right side going home. So when you wonder why Logan's, it doesn't fit either one of those scenarios.
Well, that's true.
Because you think of anything on North Lee Highway that's, if it's on the right, if it's a gas station on the right side going home, there's no chance they're going out of business.
Yeah. You've been over on 60, the 60 where they're getting ready to finish that. That's gonna be nice.
That's gonna be
Waggles
nice.
over there.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
sold
that's
it to
it.
White. No, I sold Food City, the property in Food City.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Food City's a great asset too for us in that community. It's packed out all the time.
It's, they got a Starbucks in there, they got gasoline, they got a deli.
That's a new Paul Huff. You're talking about a Paul Huff
Yeah.
corridor. I mean, that is going to open that place up widely when that thing gets done.
Green Acres is pretty packed.
Green Acres is packed out there too. Yeah,
They got
sure
better
are.
food.
Yep, they do a great job in lunch out there.
Well, I usually eat breakfast there. What do they have for lunch?
They have
Like a
meatloaf, and they'll have barbecue, and they'll have all kinds of different things.
Spaghetti. I went there one day. They had spaghetti. That was when
meat,
Brent
two
owned
vegetables.
it. Brent ran it.
Yeah, Brent's still involved in it. He's not. He's still involved with it.
Oh, I hadn't seen him in there lately.
Yeah, he had surgery. He had some medical things he had to step away from, but his wife's still out there, and
I hadn't seen her there
and
anymore.
So, yeah, I think he's still involved with it.
So, do you think what would you do if you weren't in the manufacturing business, or you weren't in?
Well, I would probably still be with Life Care. I worked for Life Care for about 8.5 years.
Under Forrest?
Under Forrest and Brian Preston. I had a facility over Brevard, North Carolina, College Walk. Brian had it. Him and Mr. Preston owned it, and they owned one down in Columbus, Georgia, Covenant Woods, which Jason Gibson ran that one.
Well, you've done a lot of living in 50 and
Yeah.
60 years, hadn't you?
Yeah. So it's kind of unique because working for Life Care, Brian owned the facility. We reported to him and Mr. Preston. We didn't have a regional or vice president. They pick up the phone, we'd call one of them. So we got to know Brian real well, and Mr. Preston too. I'll tell you a funny story too. I'll tell on myself here. When I was young, just out of school, Brian called me one day. He said, hey, and it was during the time we were having, I think it was the 4th of July or something, we were having some events going on at the facility. He said, Dad wanted to meet with me, you, and Jason. And I said, Brian, I've got a lot of things going on in the facility down here. You know, events coming up. You know, I think we were smoking pigs and stuff, or, you know, and all this stuff. He got real quiet on the phone. I'm thinking, uh-oh. He said, Tom, he said, you want me to go back to my dad and tell him that you don't have time to meet with him? You got one facility, he has 275 facilities. I said, no, I understand. I'll be there that time, that day. Don't worry about it. So it's part of my learning curve on that too. But it was a great place to work under the business and concepts and selling. It helped me tremendously in my sales on that part.
8 years, that's pretty good.
8.5 years, yeah, 8.5 years. The facility, it was a 35-acre campus. It had independent living, had triplexes, duplexes on it.
So you left here to go manage that?
No, I left here and went down to Chattanooga and redid their facility down there too. And after that, I left, figured I want to go somewhere else, do something. I actually went down to Rome, Georgia. After I left, Johnny O'Brien called me. And Johnny said, hey, I got a facility down there in Rome, Georgia. Would you want to be interested in seeing it? I said, sure. So I rode down there with him. Never get in the car with Johnny O'Brien because he runs about 80, 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I had white knuckles when I got there. Great guy. We went through the facility. I said, it's got a lot of opportunities. I was down there for a while, turned it around, and had somebody, and my wife says, I'm not moving. She got back into Cleveland after coming from Asheville, North Carolina. She says, and Johnny was always saying, hey, when you going to move down there? Because they always want the administrators involved in the community.
Yeah.
And I said, and she said, I'm not moving. I'm rooted back down to here. So I had to commute back and forth to Rome. And finally I said, Johnny, I'm not going to be able to move down here. So I found a administrator down there, a lady I knew real well, another facility that's done a wonderful job for that facility down there to help, got it going on the right path and right direction.
It's got, what, a good hour and 15 minutes to that facility, probably?
Yeah. And I drove it every
and a hard drive, really.
Hard drive, and I stayed down there through the week and come home on the weekends. So, but it was about 6 months. I love turning things around. I love taking something that's broke, fixing it, making it better. Kind of an entrepreneur type thing. Daily running things. That's why I was over at College Walk. I could leave for 2 weeks and not miss a beat. I had directors, marketing, transportation, security, maintenance. I could leave for 2 weeks. And I got bored. I wanted a challenge. I wanted to take something and build something.
You're sort of doing that with the city, aren't you? It's sort of just sort of a management by.
We are. It's been a wonderful experience.
What do y'all meet, once a month, once a week?
We meet twice a month. Meet the 2nd and 4th Mondays of every month.
You ever had to miss? I guess you do sometimes.
I've missed one meeting, I think, one or two since I've been on there.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because I could see where you'd have to miss
well,
2
we
a
try
year
to
or
plan
something.
vacations, plan the other events around council because you know exactly when they're going to happen. And
You
workshops
miss
are-
Charlie being on there?
I miss Charlie. Marsh is doing a great job. Charlie was a wonderful individual. Had a good relationship with Charlie. But Marsh is doing a great job too. She stepped in that role. Charlie wanted her to finish the role out, and we made that
I
happen.
knew Charlie my whole life.
Yeah. Charlie knew everything. When I ran for county school board, Charlie, he actually helped me. He knew everybody in the district. The same district I serve now, 7th district is a little bit bigger. But he said, Tom, you need to go talk to this person. You need to go see this person. You need to call this person. He knew everybody, what strings to pull, what people to talk to, and he helped me tremendously. Charlie did.
Everybody nobody had a problem with Charlie.
Yeah. Charlie say no.
He knew you before the election, during the election.
And after the election, he voted no on anything. It's no. You can't even know.
He didn't like taxes, did
No,
he?
he didn't. He didn't. It's not. It's. I hate using that word T, a tax.
Yeah.
I'd rather use investing. We have to invest. We invest in our community, and to do that, we have to have money to invest. And the same thing with your house. The same thing with your car. You have to invest in it. You have to repaint it. You have to change the oil, get new tires, shocks. So it's nothing different. It's just invest in our community. We want a nice community. We need to invest in our community.
Don't you think we spend the same amount of money? It's just whether we want to spend it all here or all there. That it's like doing maintenance on a house. You can do a little bit every month, or you can do it all in 5 years.
Dee, we're up against that right now because the city school board has come to us 3 or 4 months ago and said they wanted $190 million for schools. And by doing that, we don't have the funds.
You tell them we were putting lights
Well,
up
we
on.
didn't say that.
We're putting lights on Johnson Park.
We're going to do what we need to do, but by doing that, it takes exactly away from what you're saying. In 2008, when they didn't have anything, you know, that's a time you took away. Well, I'll say this: the arena, the Raider Arena, when they funded that, they took all the funds out of it. Departments didn't have anything. Fire department, police department didn't have any money for budget for growth or anything or capital expenditure. Public Works didn't have anything for 2 or 3 years. It about devastated the city and stagnated it.
That was a bad time too.
That was a bad time. I mean, it was. It had something had to be done, but we don't want to be in that same position again where we can't take care of our services that we provide to people. I know the schools are important to our kids. But at the same time, the service we provide for our community is just as important.
I've never thought that the school boards were as good on budgeting as a city council. It's like not their forte or something.
The city schools does a good job. The county does a good job too. But with the city, the county, when I was on there, if we had a roof leak, we had to go to the county commission and say, hey, we need $200,000. They had to fund it. The city's a little different. City gives a half percent of the sales tax to the city schools, which they use that for things they want to improve, like air conditioning and stuff. So they know they're getting a slice of money every year for capital expenditures, how they want to use it. So it's worked out good. They don't come to us and say, hey, I got a roof leak or whatever. They never come to us. They always have reserve money that they use for that because we allocate that money over to them. The county's different. They don't allocate any money to the school system. They just, if you need something, you have to go in front of them and ask them. So.
Have you ever thought about this? How things change? Like we've talked about, you know, being at Fulbright. We've talked about not having phones and faxes.
Yeah.
And
I noticed that phone behind you.
I
picked it up to see if it worked.
It works.
Does it?
Yeah, I just don't have it plugged in. It rings if you plug it in.
Okay.
But I don't plug it in because it'll ring.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think a kid would know how to use one of those?
Not at all. They wouldn't know how to light a match, hardly. But how much credit do we give these things that may absolutely be turned upside down in a few years? For instance, we talk about all this progress on Paul Huff and everything, a lot of those businesses aren't there anymore because they're buying everything from Amazon.
Yeah.
So, and some of these schools now, it's unbelievable the people that are going to college online.
Yep.
And it's acceptable now to say, well, I did an online course at this university.
Yeah.
Whereas
it's kind of a flexible. It's a flex.
Yeah.
You get flexibility. You
So
can,
maybe these things we're talking about are not even going to be relevant later. I mean, Roy's alternator at one time, you say, Roy, you got so many alternators, you can't fix them. He said, well, don't worry. One day I'll be the boardroom of the city council. Things change. So how much you almost have to have a group that's looking further than the exact need.
That's what we're trying to do. That's what I always try to do is plan out and look at the future.
Way out.
20, 30 years
30
out.
years.
I won't be on camera. I probably won't be here.
Well,
But
what
at the
if
same time, I want to leave it, like Paul Huff is a good example. We praise the people now for Paul Huff for having the knowledge and just the tuition, just to put that in, not knowing what it was going to be like. But now what it's become, we want to do the same thing, like Mouse Creek, moving down that way, a connector from Mouse Creek over to Lee Highway. And I've shared some of those things with you. That's a vision. I always try to look out in front, not trying to put fires out.
Yeah.
Right now, we just want to put fires out. As things come up, we got to address them real quick. Never get ahead of the ball, in the game. So we
have to have somebody that's almost thinking outside the box.
Don't say that. Boxes is my business. I make boxes for a living. I make master shippers, okay?
What kind of boxes?
It's a master shippers. Things you get, brown boxes you get on the front porch when UPS drops them off.
Do you take a piece
and you
of...
say,
do you take
think outside the box, you're taking away my business.
Do you take a flat piece of cardboard and punch holes in it and fold it to make value?
Slide and everything.
Yeah.
Come by sometime. I'll show you how a box is made.
Is that across from 20th Street on the right?
No, it's out Industrial Park. As you go out from Coca-Cola Industrial Park, Corporate Drive, it's Abcor Packaging.
How many employees you got?
We got about 27. We started off with Ricky Sanders, myself, had it in 2007.
Well, that's a bad time to start, wasn't it?
It was in 2008 when everything bottomed out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough, but we still grow. We've grown the business ever since, every year, 10, 15, 20%.
Who do you sell to?
We sell to everybody. We've got a 70-mile radius. We sell to Whirlpool. We sell to Robinson Manufacturing over in Dayton, Tenkate.
You sell their boxes?
We sell boxes to them. We have places in Chattanooga. We have water companies in North Georgia. Well,
you sell them 2,000 6x6 boxes or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you have to ever have anybody that... Do you have to like engineer the size of the box and maybe
do that? We custom make the box to fit the product that's
like a support sometimes or what?
Yeah, inner packing. I do that. I've been in the business almost 30 years, so I've worked with designers and everything else, and I've done some things.
What possessed you to do that?
Well, I like fixing things. I like finding a better mousetrap.
Was there something? Did you buy an existing business?
No, I just got into it. When I got out of it, they always say when you get paper in your blood. I worked for Weyerhaeuser, folding carton. I worked for 8 years. Then I went back to school, got out of school, went to life care, and after life care, I went back into the paper industry. I went back in corporate. Say, once you have paper in your blood, it's hard to get it out.
Corrugated paper.
Yeah, well, just paper fibers and that. It was a folding carton.
How do you get it in
We get by sheets.
Flat form?
Sheets.
What size sheets typically?
Oh, it varies between the box. It's custom. We have
so you'll have
we have 75 different customers, and our SKUs we have is thousands and thousands. They have a custom size box of 12 by 12 by 12, say. They'll have a 10 by 12 or whatever product they're putting into it. And I work with some companies trying to reduce the box size because paper is 70% of the cost. So anytime you take paper out, you're taking 70%.
So they might say, "Hey, I think you can make that box
the head space,
a half inch."
Yeah, head space. You may have too much head space. You tighten it up some. It helps the compression.
And keeps it more secure when shipping.
It does. It sure does.
Have you noticed that shipping has gone up as much as retail business has gone down? I guess.
But Dee, I'll tell you this: one of the things about the business I'm in is that we see the market changing before it changes.
Sure.
Because the pipeline,
Yeah.
they'll bleed it out, and we'll start seeing it go up, and we start slowing down. It's 6 months later, we'll see the market slide down too. As we slide down, because the inventories in warehouses, they'll start pulling back on it, and then from that, same thing. We see it happen 5 or 6 months out before it happens.
You ship them the box unfolded or
Yeah,
folded?
it's flat. It's flat, and
So they have to-
They fold them, or they put them in a machine, erect them.
Because you could,
It's case erector, it erects them, it glues them, they pack it, it glues the top, and sends it out.
they own their own machine that puts,
Yep. They sure do.
well, there's a lot more that goes into just, we get at something and we just throw the box away, but
Yeah.
there's been a bunch of thinking just to get that box.
Well, there's a lot of things going with the box. When I got hired with Warehouser, or Westvaco, I should say, Warehouser, I remember my sales manager sitting down and said, Tom, said, a box is a science. I'm thinking just what you said. It's a brown box.
Yeah.
When I get done with it, I have to throw it out. But there's all kinds of problems that can happen with the box. D-lam, moisture content in it, not squared up right, flaps are not folding. You got what they call roach holes in the sides.
Yeah.
The gaps are too deep in it. So there's a lot of problems that can happen with boxes. There's a lot of different problems.
You do any corrugated plastic, that
We haven't done any of that.
but is that, I guess that's more expensive than the cardboard,
It is
right?
because of the gas prices. It's
Yeah.
tied to petroleum.
But
So
it wouldn't matter what product, you'd probably,
I could probably run some of that
Yeah.
as far as die cuts, flat sheets. But as far as folding boxes, I don't think it would work as well.
how long do they give you when they order some boxes to do them? They give you 4 days or 6 months?
2 to 3 days, and we can turn it around. Sometimes we can turn it around in a day.
Do they need them that quick?
Well, not really, but just sometimes when you're on vacation, the buyer's on vacation, and he comes back, and all of a sudden somebody didn't order something. They're in a panic, and we're there to help them out. So I can say this: at this point, we've never shut a plant down. Okay, so
Well, that'd be bad.
we can turn now integrated, like I was talking about, GP and Warehouser and IP and all those. They've got usually 5 to 7 days lead time. They can't get it to you. But as a sheet plant, we buy the sheets, and we got the same converting equipment. We can turn it around in 2 or 3 days, easy, or even a day if we have to rush something. But we've done that before to save a customer because their plant be sitting, running product. They don't have it because somebody didn't take inventory right.
Do you have an engineer that designs the box?
Me,
So you don't have like
I don't have a designer.
department?
No, we don't have a designer. We got a sample table.
Yeah.
I can show it to you. It's a manual sample table I used to use when I was making boxes at that time. We can make samples with.
But that is an engineering thing.
It is an
I mean, that's engineering
thing.
to the core, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. I took foam out of product and made it container board, corrugated pieces, the pads and stuff. That's reusable. It doesn't get away landfills and stuff. I've done that to save money.
Some places will spend $5,000 and $10,000 just for one box to ship one thing.
I don't know about that. That may be a crate or something, but it's a wooden crate. But our boxes, and we deal with automotive. We do pallets that we nail cases to. They're automotive. They put bumpers and stuff in. So we'll do a lot of different things. Hand pack. You need to come out and see us.
So this is not your pallet company, right?
That's not the pallet company.
You're just
Pallet
talking
company,
about cardboard.
I'm just talking about cardboard or container board. I call it container board.
Yeah.
You say cardboard, I actually some of the people being in there.
So all your containers is cardboard?
Yes.
No, is there any wood structure in them at all?
No.
If it needs some
No, we've
strength?
done some crates before, but I usually let Woodway do that. Ken and Joe out there do a great
Yeah.
job with that.
So that's a different thing.
That's a different thing. Yeah.
You do the burnable, easily
The
burnable.
burnable stuff. Well,
Yeah.
of course, pallets are easy to burn too, you know.
Yeah, and the
I had a
cardboard.
pallet shop. I shut it down. I had 2 people working it before, and they just couldn't put the product out. So now we just contracted out. My wife owns it, and she just contracts it out to different companies to make the
To make
pallets.
some
Make
pallets.
the pallets. Yeah, I've got a trailer full of equipment. So you know,
I
if
bet
I
every-
buy equipment for a pallet company.
I bet
I've got
people-
it.
It seems like pallets are something people throw away all the time, but you're always needing a pallet.
Yeah, you are exactly right.
But they throw them away. I have them on jobs. I bet I have 10 on a job. Used to, Bradley Block would take them back for $8.
Yeah.
I'd drop them down there and they'd give me an $8 credit on my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Because a new pallet would run you around.
You ever see these people on the internet where they build these houses and sheds with pallets?
yeah.
That's always neat. I thought.
Compost and stuff. They'll put them in there, put them together and
Yeah.
just throw everything in there and make a compost. Yeah.
And the
Tables. Yeah.
greenhouses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does manufacturing, in your mind, are you a city councilman or are you a manufacturer?
I'm a manufacturing.
City
my
council.
My business comes first. AbCor comes first.
It has to, right?
It's come first. It's my bread and butter. And what's good about the city side of it is having knowing the people, knowing the businesses that are coming in. It helps.
If
helps
you
us
just
with
said
that.
city council was my first priority, I had to start questioning everything else you said.
No. My
It's
first
gotta
priority is God Himself.
Then family.
Then my wife. Okay. Then family.
Yeah.
Then
And
business.
Then the business.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got to make sure I get this in order.
Did you say you went to church? Y'all go to different houses
Well, we have a Bible study as a group of us. Have a Bible study.
instead of church?
Well, no, we go to church. We go to Redemption Church over here where
Richie.
Richie is.
Yeah.
Richie Hughes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He inquired me, and I've known Richie when he came back. I know him he's a dear friend, great friend, and I spoke to him. I said, "Look, if you ever start a church up, I'll be your first one there."
You were?
And he said, "Well, we're opening a church up," and Bishop Wallace is a pastor. He is absolutely phenomenal, and I just love him to death. Love the church to death, and so we go to church on Sundays and do everything we can to help the church.
So where do you
out.
go to the Bible study?
The Bible study, it's either at we got Jeff Miller, or it used to be Beth Sherlin. It's house, and we rotate the houses around.
You mean of a morning, on Sunday morning?
No, not on Sunday mornings.
Oh.
On Tuesday nights,
Oh,
and we moved to the
okay.
Wednesday nights.
I see.
So we have
Yeah.
a group of us, couples there. So we're always welcoming anybody else. We actually eat from 6 to 7. Somebody will pick it out. We'll bring food. We'll eat, and then we'll have an hour on Bible study. And
I never heard of that.
It's been great. It's been absolutely great. Sit around and.
I guess it's better than getting together and drinking wine.
It is. It is. There's no drinking, but we have, break bread a little bit and eat, and everybody has. You may pick one week, and somebody else may pick the next week. Say, "Hey, I want to do spaghetti."
Do you ever say, "Hey, we're going to skip next week because it's Christmas" or something?
No, we haven't. We're doing the next week because out of the couples, we have 6 couples, and I think 4 of the 6 are gone next week on Wednesday. So we've actually opted out next Wednesday.
Where do you get all your energy?
My wife. I just love life itself, and then my wife too. She wants to go. She's like Mr. Gadget. You know what I'm saying? Go gadget.
You don't
go.
take any supplements or anything to keep you going?
No. I take vitamins and stuff. Try to eat healthy. Try to be aware of what I'm putting in my body. But hopefully that's going to change too with this new administrator. You got Kennedy in there. You ever seen him?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen him
I've
doing
been
lift up and pull ups? Man, he's cut.
Everything
he was on
he's-
there.
everything
My wife
he's-
said, "Look at him." How
They
is
hadn't
he
seen
sitting?"
me.
Exactly.
I've been a follower of him for a while. I've always liked what he said. It always makes sense. Everything he says makes sense.
Yeah. But over in Europe, they don't let them use those supplements and stuff they use in the United States. We got so many people with obesity in our country and kids. And over there, they're not allowed to put those. So, the cereal companies, whatever, they have the pattern. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I think the food, from my understanding, is like cigarettes. You get addicted to it.
Yeah.
Over there, I don't know if it tastes different because of.
I heard, and I don't know if this is right, but I heard that we have like 10,000 ingredients approved in the United States, and they have like 750.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of this stuff that's just sort of a
Red dye.
chemical thing that's not really a
sludge,
green.
yellow sludge.
It's not really a green bean or
No.
a potato.
Well,
it's just something that's
something
edible.
Yeah, something.
You know, styrofoam's edible.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
It just doesn't have any. It's not edible is different than food.
Yeah, yeah. So it's yeah.
Do you still do your radio show?
We haven't. Jeff, myself have spoke about getting back into it because when we're running, you have to share time.
Yeah.
You know, if you're running, somebody else is running,
Yeah.
you have to give them the same amount of time. So stepped away from it. So we've thought about getting it back going. We want to do it. We just haven't had we've talked about it and kicked it around.
What was that show about?
Morning Jive. And it was just about, we had it set up to where we did weather and sports, then we did those things, and then we just got into different topics, whatever the topic.
Every morning?
Every morning.
7 days a week or 5?
5 days a week, from 7
Could
to
you
8.
tell how many listeners you had?
No, I don't think we could, but we were out in the community, people would know who we were. Said, I haven't heard that voice before. Are you on Morning Jive? And they said, yeah, we're on Morning Jive.
So maybe more people listen to that whoop than you realize.
Yeah. And we had people that would follow us, people would call in and stuff. So it was good. But again, Dee, as you know, to do a production like you're doing here, whatever, it takes a lot of time. I mean, you have a pie, for 24 hours in your life.
Yeah.
I don't have a pie and a half. So when you take it out every night, you're doing hour, 2 hours of research for current events, which you want to talk about the next day. So that's time taken away from your family or doing something else.
Well, I do no preparation for this.
No preparation. We used to do preparation all the
no
time on ours,
preparation.
and at least have topics and stuff we were going to talk enough to get through an hour on that part. But it's time consuming, a lot more than people think.
If it was much more, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
If it was much more than just, I mean, I call people and text people and say, "Can you come?"
Yeah.
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 Especially around this time of year, it gets hard because
I bet it does.
everybody's busy, and I sometimes get busy. Oh, I don't have anybody come this weekend. So everything else is good. You got anything you want to tell the audience?
No, I don't have anything. I appreciate your time, having me on. I know you've called me a couple times, and it just had worked out for me. But I'm glad we got this done, and I appreciate what you do and put this out for the community to see. And I just again want to thank everybody in the 3rd District. Honored to represent them, to serve them, and on City Council too. So I'm at a good place in my life right now.
And cheers to your brother. He was a great guy.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.